Hey guys, for today's video I thought that I would catch up on some individual questions that you guys have been asking, like ones that are just shorter so they don't really suit themselves for like a whole video topic. And I really do encourage you guys to always ask questions because it's helpful to me. Sometimes I can't think of a topic, plus I'm doing this for you guys. Okay, so let's start with the questions. Oh, also, I'm in between two classes right now, so this might not be very long. Alright, so the first question is, what are people like in your classes? Are they super competitive and therefore not looking to make friends? Obviously, just like any situation in life, there are many different personalities. There are a lot of competitive people because getting to law school takes some competitiveness. You know, you have to have ambition and know how to get what you want. So you need to be prepared to deal with people that are like that. Now, I made it this far without really being at least an aggressively competitive person. I think that you can get a lot farther in life by being cooperative, but not everybody feels the same way. So you are going to run across or come across some people, especially in law school, who seem to just like to be competitive for competitive's sake, and it can be kind of annoying, but you know, just try to ignore it. Yes, there is a ranking, so technically or like a class standing, so technically you are competing against your classmates, but it's never really mattered much to me. Like, I just feel like if I constantly thought of my classmates as competitors, I wouldn't make any friends, and it would just feel like more of a hostile environment. So yeah, but my group of friends are really cool, and we tend to just be more easygoing in class, and you know, we go prepared and we answer when we know the answer, but we're not just raising our hand to talk for talking's sake, which a lot of people do, and it's obnoxious. Does anyone treat you differently because you're a girl? I don't think so. Maybe. See, there are gender biases that go into most things that we do that we don't even like admit that it's affecting us or whatever. And then I'm not just saying on like a man's part, but also women use that to our advantage sometimes, even when we think that we're not. So I don't think that I'm treated differently, but maybe I am. Also, I heard somewhere that law school, like the percentage of women that are now going to law school is like higher than men. So I mean, it's not like there are few women in law school. There are a ton. Okay, next question. Will you do another house tour? I'm assuming that means like when I move. And yeah, I will. I don't know if I'm going to show the whole apartment because I don't know if my roommates are comfortable with that or whatever. I don't see why they would care. One of them actually has a really funny and popular blog. But yeah, I'll do a house tour, if for nothing else, to show how I'm downsizing. Next question. Did you know anyone in your classes? If not, what was it like being on your own without anyone you know? I did know one person from undergrad, and he's actually one of the people I'm moving in with. And he's awesome, and we met when we were going through the law school application process. So we kind of bonded over that. And then we found out that not only did we get into the same law school, but we were in the same section. Because I don't know if I've mentioned before, but most law schools are split into sections, so that your first year you take like all the same classes with your section. It's really cool. So we were in the same section, and it was awesome because, you know, it is a kind of scary time, and you feel like rushed through a lot of stuff, and like maybe you won't have time to make friends. So knowing that I had him in a new city made me feel a lot better. But I was actually really surprised at how quickly both of us made friends with other people. And I think it's just because you're thrown together in this very stressful situation, and you naturally want to reach out to other people who are going through it too and who can relate to it. So at least in my experience, I didn't have any trouble making friends, and as long as you just keep yourself open to it, I don't think you'll have any trouble too. And especially considering you're going to be spending so much time with these people, you might as well get to know them and become their friends so that it's at least a positive experience to be around them. Next question. Do you feel that you have enjoyed university? Like, made lifetime friends and relationships? Do you feel that you'll miss school when you're done? So I thought maybe these questions were supposed to be separate, but I grouped them together because the friendships and relationships I've made in law school are the reason that I'm going to miss school. If it weren't for those, I definitely wouldn't miss school. I'm so over school. Like, I don't want to read another case. I don't want to take another test. But the thing that does make me sad is thinking that things will never be the way that they are right now when it comes to my relationships. Like, I'm just so close to the people that I've met in law school. The closest I've ever been to friends, if that makes sense. Like, when you're in elementary school and high school and things like that, you're thrown together with this group of people, and it's very random. Well, not random. It's based on who lives in the area. It's not based on personality or any sort of similar interests. Then you get to college, and it's a little bit narrower, because it's the people who decided to go to that college, and then when you meet them in class or whatever, it's the people who had that similar interest in that class. So you're more likely, I think, to make better friends there. And then you go to law school, and it narrows it even more. It's like, really ambitious people like you are, really career-driven, smart, and depending on where you go to school, maybe it's more liberal or conservative. And then which classes you take, it narrows the interests. So the point is, I think that the best friends I've made so far have been in law school, and it's partially because, we are pretty similar while still being different, if that makes sense. Like, they've taught me a lot. My classmates are infinitely interesting. Like, they've been all over the world. They've worked in all these crazy jobs. They speak different languages. They're so awesome, and I'm constantly entertained by them. And what I'm going to miss about that is right now we get to be together all the time because that's the way our lives are with class. And come a year from now, when we all have jobs, not only might we be in different cities, but we're going to be really, really busy with our jobs and our families and whatever else we do. So yeah, I've made these fantastic relationships, and I've already thought about how much I'm going to miss it because things just won't ever be the same as they are right now. So even though law school can be hard, just really enjoy this last bit of time that you get to be a student, because I feel like it's just easier to to make friends with your classmates and be with them, obviously, because you're forced together all the time. Next question. What type of assignments do you get in law school? Like, is it more little assignments due the very next day or large assignments due later on? It's mostly reading, 99% reading, and it's usually, I wouldn't call it little, but they are due the next day usually. It's just bits of reading that they assign. So every professor is different. Some of them will strictly stick to the syllabus, and so then it's more predictable. Others assign you reading day by day, just depending on how much they were able to get to that day. And I don't know which I prefer. I guess I like predictability, but sometimes what's nice about doing it day by day is that they can really tailor the reading assignments to, the practical pace that we're at. So it's mainly that. And then, but some classes do have big assignments. In my art law class, I'm writing a paper because it's going to satisfy my writing requirement. So it's a 50-page paper. I mean, it's double-spaced, but still, 50 pages is a lot. So, but that's rare. It's mainly just reading. How often do you work in groups? Actually, not often at all. I guess it would be more of just a personal choice. When you're in the classroom, you're not working in a group. If you're in a lecture, you're just basically listening to a lecture and then answering when you need to, etc. But if you wanted to study in groups, I don't see why that would be a problem, although considering most assignments are just reading, that there's not really a way to interactively read. I guess you could, but the only time I really study in groups is at the end when I'm studying for the exam, because I think it's helpful to, run ideas and issues past the other person. But if you're not in a lecture class, if you're in something like a negotiation class, like I am right now, the entire class is group activity. Next question. I'm kind of an independent learner who likes to read and write. Is law school for me? Well, in relation to the last answer, or last question and answer, yeah, I think it would be. Because most of the stuff I do is independent reading and writing. It's not interacting with people. Although some law schools, maybe most law schools, have a requirement for certain practical skills classes, and those are the ones where you're going to find the requirement of group activities. So if you're like severely uncomfortable with working with other people, then maybe it's not the right field for you. But I don't see why being overly independent wouldn't or would impede your performance in law school. It might actually be a good thing because I find myself, like I said, often having to work on my own. Next question. Medical school teaches you to memorize biology and have lots of lab work done by the time you graduate. How is law school different in terms of homework and studying? Like, what are you asked to do? What are the major things they expect from you? I feel like you don't have to memorize as much, or obviously do lab work. It's mainly just reading comprehension, like knowing how to read well so that you can talk about a case. But it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to memorize certain facts. I think I already kind of addressed that. It's, I mean, I don't know a lot about medical school to necessarily say how you study there. Seems a little bit more interactive to me. Law school is just a lot of sitting there reading. But they expect you to be really prepared to speak. And they also, this may be different from medical school because it's so, medical school seems really fact-intensive. What law school expects of you is to not only know the law, but to know how to talk about it in your own words and to articulate your opinion on it, even if it's different than what the settled law is. So that's something I've had to get better at because I'm really good at memorizing stuff, but sometimes it's hard for me to think outside of the box and be able to like articulate the other side or whatever, and they definitely expect that of you. Okay, last question for today. Since most people who go to decent law schools are smart or good or have good grades in undergrad, what separates the top law students from the rest? How do people get those top grades? Are they married to the library? Do they always visit the teacher during office hours? I think it's different for everybody. There are people who are hardly ever in class and yet they get an A, or so I've heard, you know? It's all about your studying style because most classes, their grade is based entirely on the final exam. So if you're really good at taking an exam, that's all you need to do. However, many classes also incorporate class participation, so you need to be there, you know, not be absent all the time, and be actively participating. The point to me is just for the professor to know me, whether that means I meet with them outside of class or that I speak up a lot in class. I feel like it's helpful. And it keeps me accountable. I feel like if they know my name, they could call on me at any minute, and then so it just keeps me paying attention in class. And then as far as like being at the library a lot, again, it's just your study style. If you don't need to be at the library but you can retain stuff, then that's the way it goes. But it is true that grades are especially important right now with the economy being kind of bad, and unfortunately many places will just look at your resume and your GPA, and if it's not what they want, they'll just sack your resume. So I would definitely try out a lot of things to see what works for you. If going and speaking with the professor to clarify things works for you, great. It's never really helped me all that much. If being in the library for like 8 hours every day helps you, then great. It's never really helped me very much. So just find your study style, and it might take you a couple semesters, but don't be too hard on yourself because we all get a few bad grades, especially in law school. It's kind of trial and error. So unfortunately, that's all I have time for right now, but for my next video, I'm going to talk about a few articles that I found recently from the National Jurist, and it's talking about like first-year survival guides and how rankings are destroying law schools. And I have a lot to say on that topic. Also just how a lot of schools are faking the rankings and not really being honest with students about job prospects and things like that. So keep an eye out for that, and I hope everyone's having a good day.